Hello, Dr. Casella here again. In this video, I'm going to show you where we will have scripts located for you to use in this class, and I'll also talk about the input function. But anyway, if you go into the Blackboard, you'll see that we have Python. We have a link here, Python scripts. If you click on it, you can see I have a script here called raw input example. If I click on that, this is a Python script. And so we're going to run this Python script in Python. So let's get into Python, applications, let's see. Okay, idle. All right, let me get rid of this. Okay, so here we are in idle. I'm going to do file. I'm sorry, that's Finder. Here's idle. File, new file. That gives me the pad. Okay, now I'm going to take this pad. Let me click on here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this whole thing, that whole Python script. I'll do a Mac-C, and then I'll go into the pad, Mac-V, and then there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to run this script. So if I do, first I could save it. I could do a file save, and I'm going to call it, I'll use the same name I have up here, raw underscore input underscore example dot py. Oop, I already had .py there. All right, input example, okay. And it's going to save it in my documents folder. Save. Okay. So now if I run this script, run module. There it goes. Now look, it says, what is your name? All right. So if I go through the script here, this symbol right here, that pound sign or whatever you want to call it, that symbol just means a comment statement in Python. So anytime you want to write a comment statement, you would start the line with that symbol. So here, see this first statement, that's just a comment. And the reason why this comment here is actually that's from Python 2. That would be the correct syntax for Python 2. But it is not the correct syntax for Python 3. The correct syntax for the input function is right here. And so here you see I wrote name. All right, so that's the variable name, I'm calling it, is equal to input, and then in parentheses and quotes, I have what is your name. And so with this, what's going to happen is, as Python runs this script one line at a time, it's going to run this line first, which is what is your name. And it stops. Once it sends this question, once it outputs this text, it waits for my input. So I'll type in my name. I'll say, what is your name? Casella. Okay. Now when I hit enter, what Python is going to do is it's going to take what I've written in, Casella, and it's going to store it as the variable name, because it's saying name is equal to basically whatever I type in there. So Casella is going to be stored into the variable name. All right, so I'll hit enter. Now it says, what city do you live in? Okay, now whatever I type in for a city, it's going to be stored in the variable name city. So I'll put Dallas. Enter. What state is that in? Okay, so I'll again, state, whatever I type in here is going to go in the variable name state, because you notice all these questions are right here. What is your name? That, after within the input sign, input, that's what it's going to be prompting the user with. Here, what city do you live in? Here, what state is that in? All right, so for state, I'll just put in Texas. All right. So then it says print. After I enter the state, then it's going to print, hello there, it is so great to meet you. And that's what it says. Hello there, it is so great to meet you. And then it's going to print, now here's a comment statement. all right, and I say, okay, one way to do this is to print strings on separate lines. So I can say print name, all right, so it's printing the name, Casella. Then it's going to print the word from. That's what the quotes mean. So then it says from. So Casella from. So before, when I say print name, it's not going to print NAME. It's going to print the contents of what's stored inside the variable name, which was Casella, because I had entered it up there. So print is going to put the contents of the variable name. That's what it's printing, Casella. Then here it prints from, because it's in quotes. So if you put quotes in there, it just prints exactly what you have in quotes. So right, it's from there. Then city, what was stored in the variable name city, and you see I put Dallas, and then it prints Dallas, and then state prints whatever is stored in that variable name, and here it was TX. There it is, TX. All right, so then I've got a couple more comment statements. I'm trying to say, hey, we can glue those pieces of information together by adding commas. So I'm saying print, and then it's going to say name, comma, the word from, because it's in quotes, and then what's stored in the variable name city. So what's stored in the variable name the word from, what's stored in the variable name city, and what's stored in the variable name state. So that's what it says, Casella from Dallas, Texas. Okay. Now it says something else. Now I got another input statement. So it's prompting me again. And whatever I put in there, it's going to put into the variable name age. So it says, pardon my rudeness, but how old are you? Okay, here it is. Pardon my rudeness, but how old are you? And the computer's waiting for my input. So I'll put down 52. Enter. And it says, wow, you look like you could be 44. Okay, so here in age, it inputted, and then after it stored when I put 52, it put it in the variable name age. But what happens is the input statement, whenever you put whenever you input information to the computer using the input statement, it stores it as a string variable. And I'll talk more about strings later. But I didn't want it as a string. I wanted it as a number. So float takes a number that's stored as string and converts it to a floating point number. It also could take an integer and convert it to a floating point decimal number. But in this case, it was a string because that's the way input worked. So age was a string when I had entered 52. And then after this float function was operating on that number, which was in the form of a string, then age now became a floating point decimal number. So it actually changed the type it was, the type of that variable. All right, so now it's a floating point decimal, and it has the value of 52. Then it says here, print, wow, you look like you could be, it prints quotes, then I got the comma, then int. Int is going to take the integer value of whatever's inside the parentheses. In this case, it's going to be age, which was my number, and here I put 52, and it's going to subtract 0.15 multiplied by my age. Okay, and if you do that calculation, you get 44. Well, that's the integer portion of the number. If I say 52, well, actually what it did is it calculated 52 minus 0.15 times 52. Enter. And you see the number's 44.2. But I didn't want to put 44.2 because a person doesn't say, oh, hi, you're 44.2 years old, or you look like you're 44.2 years old. People don't say that. They just say the integer part of the number. So that's why I put int there. And so whatever this calculated to be, it forced it to be an integer. And that's why it says, wow, you look like you could be 44. And then it's got 2 exclamation points in it. So anyway, that's how you can take a script and run it in Python. Okay, goodbye.